Welcome to Two Travel Dads Podcast. Here we share our favorite destinations, travel tips, ideas for saving money, and stories from our adventures. Be sure to check out our show notes at twotraveldads.com/podcast-episodes. Hey, welcome to Two Travel Dads Podcast. I'm Rob, and Chris isn't with me today, but I have got my best buddy in the whole wide world, Kelly Blanchard. She is a licensed massage therapist and has had lots of years working in the healthcare field, working one-on-one with primary care physicians and with people traveling who just know that massage is healthy for them and all kinds of stuff. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, so happy to be here.
I'm so glad we get to record another podcast. We've done, this will be our third or fourth, maybe our fifth.
I think third, yeah.
Yeah. So, but today I'm excited to talk with you about something that is even more important today than I think ever before, and that is immune support and how to kind of boost your immune system, and especially considering travel and how we can kind of take steps to make sure that we stay healthy as we travel. Because, right now we've got coronavirus is still really, it's really raging here in the United States. And
keeps on keeping on.
It really does. And we've really seen travel kind of come to a halt. But there are some opportunities to still travel safely. And that's what we're going to talk about, is how to stay healthy while choosing those good, safe options. So, first off, let's just kind of dig into, on the regular basis, what do you do to support your immune system? Like, even if there wasn't, COVID-19 going on and all that stuff, what would you personally be doing on the regular to just keep yourself healthy and boost your immune system?
Well, I love this topic because as an immune boosting care provider, I guess I'll call myself, as a massage therapist, we really do try to let our clients help them to understand that keeping your immune system strong is your first line of defense against many illnesses and disease throughout your life. So it's not something just to do at winter time or just for travel. I really believe that if we can keep our immune system strong throughout our lives, that we will be able to avoid a lot of illness and suffering. So daily, I do some vitamin regimen, which is very easy. For me, it's important to eat before I take vitamins. So I always throw that out there, because if you have a bad experience with taking vitamins where your stomach is, upset, then you're probably not going to be good at it.
Oh, that's the worst. I hate that's the worst type of nausea that I've experienced. It's worse than motion sickness.
It comes on like a splash of water in the face.
Oh, so that's awful.
Definitely have at least a meal, and for meals, food is medicine. I definitely believe that. I always like to do garlic in my morning meal. So we all
who have spent time with you know that you love your garlic. Oh my God.
I am that massage therapist who's like, oh, she had garlic today.
I love it.
No one's gonna complain, but I do let people know. Disclaimer: garlic is a health promoting vegetable. What is it? It's allium.
It's a root vegetable, maybe. Oh yeah, no, it's an allium, like an onion or shallots.
Yes, we could get off another podcast for flowers. Right?
Totally different thing.
Anyway, so I do a garlic, spinach, coconut oil, and egg, and I have chicken, so a fresh egg omelet in the morning, or a scramble, whatever. So I really like to start my day with those immune boosting flavors, I guess I'll call them.
Also, because you've got your garlic, you've got the iron in the spinach, all that stuff that is actually just like what your body needs anyways, which is great.
Yeah, and the minerals in the eggs.
Especially farm fresh eggs. They're super duper crazy mineral rich.
Like,
they're like the color.
Bright orange.
Yeah, the color is just to
regular store-bought.
Yeah.
So also warm or hot lemon water in the morning before you put anything in your body is a really nice way to kind of kickstart your body in a healthy way and get your digestion moving. And also the lemon helps to create an alkaline environment in our bodies, which bugs and viruses are not as happy in an alkaline environment. So that's a good way to start. That's super easy and delicious.
Yeah.
So that's the start of the day. And then I also like to, throughout the day, have a zinc lozenge. Zinc has been proven to help, especially with colds and flus and the coronavirus. I think there's even some reports about zinc being helpful, and it's a nice thing for kids too because they come in little lozenges like a little candy, so you can trick them because
Yeah.
we got to trick them right to get the good stuff in sometimes.
Sometimes. Yep.
And then echinacea, elderberry, those are some other things you can do tinctures in your tea. I also take the advantage of using my cup of coffee or cup of tea in the morning to do a squirt of an echinacea drop or an elderberry.
I
Then, of
feel like
course,
I feel like you also use a lot of turmeric.
I do use a lot.
What's
Turmeric
the
usually
purpose
goes
of
in the
that?
eggs. It's let me think here. It's got curcumin in it, which is really good for inflammation, anti-inflammation. So it can help with basically all kinds of illness stems from inflammation all around our body. So things that we can do to decrease inflammation are always a good thing to put in your immune boosting toolkit.
Yeah, I know like with me I've got diverticulitis, and so the second that I start to get an attack, it's just my insides starting to swell.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
those sort of things are things that I'm always looking for. And I use a lot of turmeric too. Good
Yeah.
times.
And another thing that's super easy and that you are so lucky to have nonstop all year round is sunshine. Vitamin D receptors are actually in every single cell in our body. And if you think about it, we're just animals. We kind of are. We're the top of the food chain, I suppose. But anyway, don't get me started on that. We don't act like it sometimes. Anyway, vitamin D is a really, really powerful way to boost our immune system. And there's studies again in the Northwest and in climates where it's a little darker more often. Vitamin D deficiency can cause MS and some different autoimmune conditions. So it's really a good idea to get your face in the sunshine as much as possible every day. If you live in a climate like I do up in the Northwest, like you used to,
Yep.
luckily we are in a part of the Washington state where we do get a little more sun. So high noon, just be sure to have your face in the sunshine, as much skin as you possibly can, actually. So if you can be warm inside and just, sit in a sunny spot, I'm always sitting in the sunny spot like a cat in my house
Yeah.
because that sunshine really does help.
And if you don't know Kelly, she is a self-proclaimed professional tanning specialist.
I am a tanning coach. That's me.
Tanning coach, that's what it
Yes.
is. It's a tanning coach. Okay, cool. Well, that's lots of things to work with. And also don't forget, there's always show notes on the blog that you can check out to get all these details about what we're talking about. So if you're like, what was that? Just pop back and I'll have a full-on list, whole plan for you. Um, so moving on from there, when it comes to travel, is there anything else that you do different in the days like leading up to going somewhere? I know like we just recently went to Nevada and you met me
Oh, so
there.
fun.
That was amazing. And we'll talk about that later. Um, was there anything that you did before going to just make sure that you were healthy and ready to be on a plane with other people?
Definitely. I think the main thing that we're all collectively feeling right now is a little bit or a lot more stress. And
Yeah.
stress is just the most detrimental thing to every cell of our body. It's really rough on us. So I actually searched for some podcasts and some audiobooks that I knew would calm me down
Mm-hmm.
and keep me kind of in that zen place for going through the airport when there's no one there or sitting on a plane with everyone in masks and hand sanitizers and
Yeah. Because
that.
stress just breaks down your defenses. Yeah. Is that how
Yes,
you?
yes,
Because we've talked about that
absolutely.
before, and that
Mm,
massage is good for you, and that travel is good for you because it helps to relieve stress and it helps to keep you healthy. So that's
exactly.
a great thought. Is what can you do to keep your stress level down while you're traveling in an unprecedented time such as
Yeah,
this?
exactly. So
So
yeah,
that's a really good thought.
I listen to a lot of guided meditations. I have through this whole time, and it really does help to kind of find your center where you feel grounded and strong and available to handle anything that might come up. Because nowadays, who knows
Yeah. Right. Seriously.
what's going on? So to
Yeah.
be in that strong place to head into environment full of people, and I think it can really help you just get around the day with a more grounded presence and not be in your head and freaking
Yeah.
out about every single thing, because that's kind of what we can do right now. It's definitely there's a lot of extra stressors in our world, and with travel in particular. There's, I know you've written about the judgment, and people will comment on how dare you travel right now, how selfish you are, and all those
Yeah, it's
things.
it's fascinating.
Yeah. So, but I think it's such an important part of our lives, and we're very happy and grateful to be able to travel. I think it's important. We've shared it with our kids, and we did a lot of car travel this year, as did you. You moved across
Yeah.
the
Oh
country
gosh. Yeah.
to kind of avoid the whole air travel. So less is more for sure in every way. Actually, this is teaching us that. Um,
That was a
but
great segue
also,
actually into my next question.
okay.
So what I wanted to kind of ask you there is, given health precautions and just everything that you need to be thoughtful of now, how has that changed what you guys as a family or what you individually do in terms of travel? And there you have it, with really
Yeah.
focusing on much more car travel and exploring, where you can drive to. Is that something that you see as, well, what have you done specifically this year differently, car travel wise, versus flights that you would normally do? Tell me about that.
My husband and I and Henry, the best friend of Oliver and Elliot, we drove from Southwest Washington all the way to, or Southeast Washington, all the way to Northeast Maine.
That is just that every time I think about that, I think, gosh, that's a long drive, even though we just did, Washington to Florida. So
You did
I
even
getcha.
further. Yeah. You did
It's,
further. We did ours though in 50 straight hours.
oh my
So we
gosh.
just traded
Yeah,
off. We just put it in our heads. This is what we're going to do. We loaded up the good audiobooks and podcasts, and I love obviously listening to audiobooks. And just put it in our head. We're like, nope, we're just going to do this. His dad is 86, I believe now. He just had a birthday. And we really wanted to be cautious about bringing him any cooties. And so that's what we did. And we rented a car for pretty inexpensively, and it was a lot less gas than we assumed. So
that's
that was
awesome.
really great. And we just took turns. We had to stop a couple times, like from that 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. when my body's like, what are you doing? We're not awake right now.
Yeah,
So we stopped and rested a couple times, but we made it in 50 hours from Washington to Maine. So it's
that's just
possible. You just got to kind of get your mind around it.
and that's so different from the normal type of travel when you guys do your trip to Maine. Like, and I think that that's one way that people can be thoughtful and cautious for others as well, is making those kind of swap outs. So instead
Yeah.
of flying and interacting with 200 to 500 people throughout your time on airplanes and airports, to really being self-contained. And I mean, when we drove across the country, I interacted with two people the entire time, and so being able to ensure that your family stays healthy by minimizing your contact with others, um, even though nobody wants to drive 50 hours straight, I think that that is a really selfless thing to do and still be able to get to experience the things that we love, like travel and visiting family. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so on during those travels that drive across the country back and forth, and flying here to Florida, flying to Nevada, what are some precautions or kind of new health standards that you've witnessed that you would either love to see become the standard or see more widespread? As because I mean, coronavirus is going to be with us for a while, I'm sure, in one form or another. So, what sort of new health practices or standards would you like to see stay in place, or you think should come into play?
I definitely love that this has taught us that less is more. Less things to do, less things on our plate, less planning. Um, just taking more time to just go a little slower through our life and be a little more grounded. I'm hoping for that. I also think that as a massage therapist, I'm kind of a hand washing fanatic anyway. So I love the idea of everyone being a little more into washing their hands. On the flip side, I also know that our immune systems need a strong microbiome, which is largely in our intestines and our gut. So living amongst animals, and we have dirt and debris and uh, yucky stuff in our yucky stuff. You can quote me on that's a
I gotcha.
official term in our environments that actually boosts our immune system in small doses. So I'm not a huge fan of tons and tons of isopropyl alcohol all over my
The
hands,
can
but
sanitizer, you mean?
yeah, exactly. But I do love washing my hands. I love a good smelling soap. Just make it something fun, make it fun for the kids, get a scent that they enjoy, get a type of soap they like, and make hand washing a bigger part of our lives. I really like that.
It's funny because I mean, I feel like I wash my hands frequently and always have, but it's really brought to light how I have not taught the kids to do that, and that now it's something we literally were like, go wash your hands, go wash your hands. We go somewhere,
Yeah.
go wash your hands. Like it
Yep.
is,
It's a good habit.
it's a. But I'd never realized that it's such a learned habit. It's
Yeah.
not just something that you do. You literally have to remind yourself and teach yourself to do it, or teach others to do it. So, well, that's good. I kind of want to poke at something. I know you love to poke at
I
sore
do.
spots. So I want to poke at something with you. I know you don't love to live in fear, but
No.
with the current state and what's going on, what do you kind of fear with health and with how this is impacting society? Or how this is impacting everybody's ability to travel and be exposed to other people who aren't just like themselves. Like, do you have any fears around how this is impacting us, either for health or mental health?
Definitely. I think especially for kids, as we all go through this together, the whole world, which
Yep.
still blows my mind, um, having ways to cope with the onslaught of information coming at us all the time. I think that's something to really investigate for yourself and your family. How much internet or how much TV or how much information do you take in every day? And how do we kind of mitigate that? Getting the information, but not spending our whole lives in fear, because it does seem to me like a lot of media, they have bills to pay, I suppose, so they have to keep us watching, and the main way to do that is through fear and the bad news. So yeah, I don't watch much TV. I really try to not have my son watch news at all. I'll just kind of digest it for him and regurgitate it like a mama bird.
Kind of share an edited version or need to know.
Yeah, just a little whittled down version, but I fear that there will be some serious PTSD from this time. I think a lot of people who are alone in small apartments in big cities, and well, that would be really convenient to get everything you need delivered because I'm out in the boondocks. That's not the case for me. Um, I think it also is really hard on your psyche to
Yeah.
be alone like that. So I hope that we really appreciate our connections with each other after all of this. I hope that the divisiveness can actually flip, and it can be more about we all went through this huge thing together, and now we feel more bonded and appreciate hugs so much more. I've missed hugging people
Yeah.
so
It
much.
was so strange moving across the country and, saying goodbye to grandpa and grandma and not giving them hugs.
Oh
Seeing you
yeah.
guys in a parking lot on our drive across the country and not hugging you. It
Yeah.
was all very, it was very strange. It was kind of
It
surreal.
is. It is. So
Um,
I hope that my fear is that we don't continue to be fearful of each other and engaging with each other. I
mhm.
I hope that, like I said, that it flips and we go from being scared of seeing everyone as a potential cootie carrier to
Yeah.
someone we love and we still hug, and yeah,
Yeah.
that most of our cooties can blend just
Yeah.
fine.
It's interesting how that sort of fear and caution has worked its way into my dreams. Like I will
Yeah.
have dreams where somebody's not wearing a mask and I'll look at them dirty in my dream. Or
Yeah.
like trying to avoid people because that's the frame of mind that I have now. But hopefully we can work that out. I'm so there with you. The
Yeah, and
very
watching movies or anything where they're not wearing masks
Oh
and
my gosh,
washing
it's
hands,
so
that's the
weird.
weirdest thing. We watched
It's
Home Alone. I was like, where's the masks?
it's so weird. Like my natural thought when I'm watching a show is, why aren't they wearing masks? Good times. The last question that I had for you before we wrap up is I know that you read everything from both sides. You read you know, the pro mask, pro science side. You also, not that you prescribe to the conspiracy theories, but you also read them and you see what other people are saying about, anti-masking and herd immunity and
Mhm.
all these different things. Is there anything that you've seen that has really stood out to you that's been like, huh, this has really made me think about how we are approaching this?
Um, yeah, that might be a whole nother
Oh,
podcast.
really?
But
Just give me one thing
I
that you can keep short and sweet. How about that?
okay, I had a really great conversation with a dear friend who's a retired doctor who worked for public health, usually volunteered for whatever way he could help with public health initiatives. And I asked him, do you really feel like we're doing all we can? And he said, of course not. You know, the people who are having parties and getting together and not wearing masks and trying to do these herd immunity parties are really not doing a benefit to anybody, least of all the most um, vulnerable in our societies, the seniors and people with pre-existing conditions. Um, I also, he went on about the vaccine. He's excited about it. He feels like it's going to be um, the most cutting edge vaccine that we've ever had, and it's coming to the fore very rapidly because people are really wanting it and putting a lot of time and money, of course, into it. And so he talked and said all that, and I wanted to listen. I had asked the question, but then I said, but I have a hard time trusting pharmaceutical companies. And so that's where we really landed together, because he's dealt with a lot of the opiate crisis as a
Mm-hmm.
doctor on the ground, and knows that there are companies, I won't use any names, that put out the drugs that cause the crisis and then also turn around and create
Profit.
well, they make a lot of money, but they also create rehab facilities for the same product they're putting
Mm.
out.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That kind of thing has to stop. That kind of thing, we all have to stand up a bit to companies who are putting out poison with their left hand and giving us a cure for it in the right hand. That's hard to trust.
Yeah, and I think
It's a
that's
little hard to trust.
and definitely it's interesting talking with people who work in travel because we all come from such different backgrounds and we all live
Mm-hmm.
in such different situations. That's been a common thing is, as we're all getting excited for the world to open back up, how do we actually trust that this is happening for our best health and our best interest and not just to get the economy going without things being rushed or something like that, or something being developed too swiftly without enough trial or something. So
Yeah.
that's a common fear, and I get it. Yeah. So
Yeah, so that's where and I'm glad I just had that talk with him last night, because he's someone I've known for years and I dearly love and trust. And, to hear him kind of be in that same predicament where in one hand, he knows the science and he really does trust vaccines. And on the other hand, he does also know the pharmaceutical companies
yeah,
that seem to be run by people with no consciousness.
yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much for spending time talking about this. I know we could go on forever.
Oh, yes, we could.
But yeah, everybody go ahead and check out the blog, twotraveldads.com, and you will see our show notes from this with the details about what you can do to actively support your own immunity, as well as, our conversation about real life and how we are facing these interesting challenges and stuff. So Kelly, thank you so much for being with me. And
Always my
yeah,
pleasure.
everybody stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.
Take care, everybody. Hang in there.
Two Travel Dads podcast is written by Rob and Chris Taylor and produced by Rob Taylor in Suquamish, Washington. If you would like to be on Two Travel Dads podcast or sponsor it, please visit us at twotraveldads.com/work.